الصلاة والسلام على رسول الله وعلى آله وصحبه أجمعين أما بعد. Respected brothers and sisters, all praise belongs to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala for granting us another day in our life. We ask Allah Azza wa Jal to make this day as a source of khair. We ask Allah Azza wa Jal to protect us from all types of evil. Ameen Ya Rabbil Alameen. In our journey for preparation for Akhirah, Day of Judgment, Ali bin Abi Talib radiyallahu anhu mentions ثلاث خصال يتواصون بيننا ويتكاتبون فيهم. That there are three pieces of advice that we used to encourage and tell each other to write and keep it right in front of their eyes throughout the entire day. So three pieces of advice which we as Sahaba used to encourage we used to encourage each other with, and we used to write this down and keep it in front of our eyes every single day. So like a person has a note that he writes down that I want to do this tomorrow so I don't forget. So all of these notes, sticky notes and all these types of notes that a person keeps to keep himself reminded of things so he doesn't forget. So the Sahaba used to do that for their good purposes. So what they used to do is they used to write those pieces of information and keep it with them at all time and look at them every single day. So Ali bin Abi Talib radiyallahu anhu is mentioning that there are three pieces of advice that we used to write them down and we used to encourage other and remind each other about them. What are those three pieces of advice? The first one is من عمل لآخرته كفاه الله أمر دنياه وأمر آخرته. The person who works for his life of hereafter, Allah is suffice, Allah takes care of his worldly affairs as well as his akhirah affairs. So the person who's working for akhirah every single day. So when a person wakes up in the morning, today my investment is going to be in akhirah. He doesn't have to do anything different. He doesn't have to leave his work, he doesn't have to leave his family, he doesn't have to do whatever he is doing throughout his entire day. The only thing he needs to do is he needs to do two things. The first thing is he needs to correct his intention. That why is he doing this action? What is the purpose behind? If I'm making business, if I'm making money, what is the purpose behind this? Why am I investing my time in my business or in whatever that I'm doing? What is my intention behind this? Number one. Number two is whatever action he is doing, whatever matters that he's taking care of throughout the entire day, he needs to make sure that no ahkam of Allah are being violated. When a person has done these two things, his intention is correct and his action is correct, then Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala makes every action an action of akhirah. So his eating becomes the action of akhirah, his business becomes the action of akhirah, his going to work is becoming the action of akhirah, his time with the family is becoming the action of akhirah. So when he changes these two things, that he's going to be doing it for the sake of Allah, and why is he doing this? You remember one thing, my brothers and sisters, that whatever we do throughout our entire life, whatever we have done for akhirah, this one has no hisab on the day of judgment. This one has no hisab. Whatever we are doing it for the worldly affairs, that I'm going to look good, I'm going to have a lot of money, I'm going to be, living in a better area, being with better people. Whatever we are going to do for the worldly affairs, this is going to create hisab for us on the day of judgment. That every single minute, every single action that we have done to gain benefit in the worldly affairs, that is going to be accountable on the day of judgment. But if we have done the same thing with the intention of akhirah, with the pleasure of Allah, with fulfilling the orders of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, then whatever shortcomings are found in that action, Allah will forgive, and Allah Azza wa Jal will make that action as a source of preservation for our akhirah. So this is why the first thing that we need to work upon is our action. How do we do them and for whom we are doing them? The reason why, and how can you give that as a check? Whenever you're doing something good and for some reason you are demotivated of not doing that good action, that means that action was never initiated for the sake of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So let's say I'm helping someone out, and then suddenly I receive a comment or I receive a news that this person has said so and so thing about me, or he has not supported me in this cause, or he has not helped me out in this matter. Now my behavior towards that individual changes. I don't pick up his calls, I don't help him, I don't answer him. The person is in complete confusion that what happened overnight, that this person's behavior changed immediately. So that means whatever I was doing before that, it was not for the sake of Allah. It was for something else. That's why his behavior made me change my action. If I was doing it for the sake of Allah, then no matter what behavior I'm receiving from the second person, I will never leave that action. Why? Because I was doing it for the sake of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So this is why this needs to be corrected in our life. We are doing action for people. Even if you are talking to someone, we're communicating with individuals, we're supporting an individual, we're not supporting them for the cause of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, we are supporting them for their cause. And when we support them for their cause, then of course every single action of ours is accountable. It is going to have hisab on the day of judgment. Allah will say, why did you do this? For what reason you did this? This is why the famous hadith which Imam Muslim has located in his Sahih, that one of the first narrations that Imam Muslim has mentioned regarding the intention of an individual and his action. And he has mentioned the hadith of the Prophet ﷺ of 3 individuals who will be brought: a martyr, a scholar, and a person who is wealthy. And Allah will ask all of these 3 categories of individual that I gave you this bounty, I gave you this bounty, I gave you this bounty. Who did you do? What did you do with it? You say, oh Allah, I invested in your cause for your sake. Allah says, no, you were looking for some kind of name and fame in this dunya, and that was given to you. Today you have nothing to earn in the day of judgment. So we don't want to be from that category. We ask Allah to save us from that category. That's why the first piece of advice of Ali bin Abi Talib that a person needs to put right in top of his notes: Man amila li akhiratihi kafahu Allahu amra dunya wa amra akhirah. That Allah, whoever does his action for the life of hereafter, Allah suffice for him for the worldly affairs as well as the affairs of akhirah. We ask Allah to grant us the understanding and the ability to practice. Inshallah, we will continue with the next 2 pieces of advice in the upcoming days. جزاكم الله خيرا سبحان الله وبحمده سبحانك اللهم وبحمدك ونشهد أن لا إله إلا أنت نستغفرك ونتوب إليك.